you talk about that there briefly?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm trying to do a 3-hour speech in an hour and a half, so I really don't get enough time to really get into that. The EPA, the Endangered Species Act, has not saved one species. And the EPA uses, there's something that they do, and this is, we're talking about public-private partnerships and the cycle of nonprofits, which are funded by corporations and influence government. What happens is a lot of nonprofits are suing. What they do is they bring a suit against the Environmental Protection Agency to actually create policy that the Environmental Protection Agency wants to create. And then the EPA will settle the suit with the nonprofit, basically recapitalizing them. And a lot of these nonprofits are actually funded by huge corporations. So what this does is it furthers the taking of the regulatory taking of private properties from individuals, so that you get to still pay your property taxes, but you don't get to use your property for anything. And of course, the Sacketts sued the Environmental Protection Agency, went up to the Supreme Court because they were getting fined $75,000 a day for something that wasn't happening on their property. They were accused of having wetlands on their property. We're in Idaho. There were no wetlands. People got a permit to build. The EPA said, hey, you put the trees and everything back where they were, and we're fining you $75,000 a day. These people were not able to challenge the EPA unless there was no provision for them to challenge that fine until they went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. Now that is what's happening in our nation, where we are being run by overreach, by federal agencies that are doing tremendous overreach in the guise of environmental concern. But this is about restricting and taking our property rights. And one thing, when you get a conservation easement on your property, which means that your title is split and you can't develop, you've agreed to accept some money in exchange for development, when the underlying fee, what you own, what's left of what you own, is sold, usually it's purchased by the conservation easement holder, and now it disappears. There is no longer a conservation easement on that property. Now that holder can do whatever it is that they want with that property. This is happening all across the United States. Area plan. And this is going to be huge. It's going to be it's a constitutional suit. We're suing on the 5th and 14th Amendments of the United States Constitution to block this huge regional plan in the San Francisco Bay Area, 9 counties, 101 cities, 7 million people, all being regionalized against their will and without their knowledge. So we are suing, and I think it is very important, although, of course, I grew up with lawyers, and I know that, like my dad used to say, fair is what comes to town at the end of the summer. And you may lose, but...
Trades is whatever you can. That's 12 people.
That's right. Or 5, I guess. But, but the thing is that we do need to use our court systems. We do need to use our legal system and sue.
Can you do it in a group basis, like a constituency? Can they get together and sue the council?
What we're doing, we are actually suing, our plan is to sue the federal government and also the Metropolitan Planning Organization and the Association of Bay Area Governments.
Here's the other thing that I can't seem to find, and I try to do the research, is who is the organization, or is it the non-government, whatever. I tried to find it for, like, for example, San Antonio, and I could not determine who were the players that were actually the liaison between the city and ICLEI, and it's kind of like mysterious. Is that in your book?
What you need to do, here's what you need to do. You can file, it's not a Freedom of Information Act, that's federal. It's a public records request. File that with your local municipality. Find out.
But with who? Because there's so many of them. You mean with the financial?
Well, are you trying to find out? It depends on which agency you're going after. So if you're going after your local city council, you want to file with them a public records request to determine when they became a member of ICLEI, or whether they're getting software from ICLEI. ICLEI sells software, greenhouse gas management and monitoring. So if that's what you're doing, you want to examine their records. And you want to do it for your county?
Thank you.
Doing that?
We got time for one more question.
Yeah, honored to meet you. Was a
Thanks a lot for coming out here.
Thanks.
Yeah, my mother told me about the plan for global governance back in 1972 with the Council on Foreign Relations and Trilateral Commission. And I didn't notice Agenda 21 until about 2008, about February. People pointed it out to me. And a lot of people just don't realize this at all. But I also look for what's behind it and what really keeps it. I think you touched on it a bit, and that is our Federal Reserve. The fact that if I could loan everyone in this room $1 million, life would be great. That's what they're able to do. When they put the squeeze on us in September 2008, they loaned themselves $16.1 trillion with a T.
Yeah.
And most people don't realize that it is like a poker game. They make you feel good about things like they are right now, and then they put the squeeze on us and rake in the chips. That's one of the aspects of this plan for global governance, is to bring our economy down, basically steal the inheritance from our children and take over. Thank you.
Yeah, that actually, I do talk about that in my book. I just wanted to say that before Jim gets going on that. And that is really a vital part of this plan in order to collapse our economy, in order to make us more vulnerable and accepting of this. All these local municipalities are desperate for money.
That's right. In fact, if you want a little view of the future, just look at Cyprus and look what's happening over here. Watch the dominoes fall in Europe, and then if they get away with it, it'll be over here. I wouldn't keep a whole lot of money in the banks if I were you.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But what I wanted to say is that this is all planned. It's all part of the deal. Okay, and there are people behind it. We talk about corporations. Well, I love it. The Supreme Court now, of course, back in the 1800s, ruled that a corporation is an individual. Okay, and now recently they ruled that they can, as an individual, they give money to a political candidate. So in other words, they can buy up their politicians. I like the guy, I think it's in LA, where he had his incorporation papers on the seat next to him. It's drove in the high occupancy lane. I got an individual here with me. How you play with this stuff.
Thank you guys so much. I'm going to go ahead and dismiss them. They go to the front table to sign some books.
All right, great. Thank you.
Did you like it, guys? Thank you, Mary Owens, Rosa Koire, Jim Mars. Thank you so much. We're going to do more of this. I'd like to take a moment before everybody leaves here to say thank you to Bill Crawford, Chester Ice, Director of the Opera House, for letting us do this tonight. Where is Darwin?
Architects and engineers.
Where's Darwin go?
Oh, no.
Darwin Hannon, he came.
He was
This afternoon has mowed the lawn.
there in Bastrop.
That's important.
Bastrop.
We've got several members here from the Central Texas Friends of Liberty.
Cool. Good seeing you guys, man.
Where is Harlan? Harlan did the poster art.
Earlier. Of course, when they found out this guy was a lawyer, corps commander at A&M,
Filming right now.
Republican Party chair of Hayes County in the 70s. They're like, look at this guy's pedigree, it's flawless, you're it. As soon as he got elected, he said, oh, by the way, I'm a Ron Paul guy. Great album.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll come over here. Oh, so, yeah. Wherever you want
Well, he finally had to. I mean, I called him on that day. I called him on that day.
You always close your eyes. Get in there, Marshall.
I'll Photoshop her. I keep just
There you go. Just paint some in. We'll see you. You're meeting to make it set. I'm going to try. I got all by myself. You always blink at the wrong time.
Alright, I'm gonna go. I'm here with my little friend Russell. How old are you, Russell?
11.
Yeah, the other day I came over to Russell's house. This boy was over here reading a book called The Hunger Games.
I'm on the 3rd book.
Oh, and he's on the 3rd book right now. He's already read that one.
Took 2 months.
Man. And so when I came over here and saw you reading that Hunger Games book, what'd I tell you that was about?
Agenda 21.
You say that louder?
Agenda 21?
Agenda 21, huh? And what you know about that Agenda 21?
Government plan to reduce the population of the people.
Yeah. Well, they call that sustainable what?
Sustainable development.
Yeah, sustainable development, huh?